Hello everyone! This week I was inspired by the universal and timeless beauty of one of Star Wars' most memorable princesses, Princess Amidala. I love this character in the story, and on top of being a beautiful, powerful, and kind-hearted princess, her sense of fashion is so intricate and elegant. In fact, it's so different from modern fashion, it's what makes it so organic and beautiful. I want to show you guys how I made her cuter chibi version in this clay tutorial. Let's get started. You're going to start off with a white piece of clay to roll out the face and her head. And with a brown piece of clay, you're going to roll this into a very thick snake. And this is going to form the hair that surrounds her head. The most difficult part of the tutorial is actually the headpiece. So you're going to take a yellow piece of clay and roll this into a long, thin snake. This piece is going to be about 5 millimeters thick. And you're going to place it right on top of her forehead in between her hair and her face, and you're going to eyeball where the yellow piece is going to end and just take off the extra clay. Once you're done, it should look something kind of like this. With a smaller piece of yellow clay, you're going to roll this into a cone and flatten it out into a nice little pointy triangle to form the intricate headpiece right on top of her forehead. And you're going to go ahead and place this right in the very center of her forehead, and you're going to smooth out all the uneven and rough edges with either your fingers or clay tool. When you place this piece back onto her forehead, it should look something like this when you're done. Now, I actually don't know what the back of her head looks like because all of her photos don't really show the back of her head. So I'm just going to fill it with a yellow piece of clay. So flatten a piece of clay out into a nice thin sheet. I would say about 1 to 2 millimeters thick. And you're going to wrap this around the back of her head and remove all the excess clay. Of course, when you're done, smooth out all the rough and uneven edges with your fingers or clay tool, and the back of Princess Amidala's head should look something kind of like this. To add some details to her headpiece, roll out a red piece of clay into a long, thin snake, and you're going to flatten this out with a roller. Once you're done, you're going to center this in the center of her headpiece and go ahead and smooth out any of the rough and uneven edges. To form the jewel in the center of her forehead, take a yellow piece of clay and flatten this out, and of course add a red piece of clay on top of this yellow clay to form the little red jewel on her forehead. Now take a yellow piece of clay and roll this into a long, thin snake and flatten it out with a roller. And I don't know how to describe it, but you're essentially cutting out an S-shaped figurine from this yellow flat piece of clay. This is going to form the two little pieces that surround the center headpiece. Make sure you smooth out the rough and uneven edges, and of course you're going to make 2 of these. And to give you guys an idea of what this is supposed to be and what it looks like, you're going to place these on both sides of her head where her ears would normally be, and they're going to angle into her chin, and this forms her headpiece that she wears. Alright, so now that you kind of got the idea, you're going to add some red clay to those pieces. So take a red piece of clay and flatten this into a very thin sheet, as thin as you can make it. This red sheet is going to cover the anterior part of the little yellow S's that you make. So go ahead and just place them on top where you want them to be. With your X-Acto knife and your fingers, go ahead and smooth out the uneven edges and make sure you cover up all the yellow spots in the front part of this headpiece. The only part you should see yellow is in the very back. To do this step in an easier way, all I did is covered the entire yellow piece with the red clay, and I would just take my X-Acto knife and cut off the excess red clay, and when you peel it off, you can see the yellow clay underneath. So your finished pieces should look something like this. Now before you add those pieces on, I'm going to take a clay tool and add parallel lines all along her little headpiece. And this is going to surround the little triangle headpiece that you made. And this is just to add a little more details to her intricate headpiece that she wears. Alright, so you're finally ready to add the S pieces to her headpiece and her face, and you're going to place them where you placed them on earlier. Again, make sure that they're angling into a triangle where her chin's supposed to be. With a yellow piece of clay, you're going to cut this into 3 small circles, each piece getting larger, and you're going to roll them into nice small spheres. When you're done, you're going to stack these spheres on top of each other, with the largest one being on the bottom and the smallest one on the top. And this is going to form the little decor on the top of her headpiece. And go ahead and stick this on the very top. So we have finished the bulk of her headpiece. We're going to move on to her body. So you're going to roll out a red cone with a red piece of clay, and you're going to cut off the excess clay with an X-Acto knife to make it a little bit shorter, and this is going to form her little red dress. With a silver pin, you're going to go ahead and attach the head and the body together. Insert the pin into the head first, and then take the little red cone that you made earlier and insert that into the silver pin. With a smaller piece of red clay, roll this into a nice little cone, and these are going to form the sleeves, so make sure you make 2 of these. When I attach the sleeves to the body, I attach them where the head and the body actually come together. With a yellow piece of clay, you're going to roll this and smooth it out into a nice little triangle, and this is going to form the final part of her headpiece. You're just going to stick it at the very tips of her hair where it looks like the headpiece is continuing on to the bottom. To form the details of her dress, take a red piece of clay and roll this into a thin snake and flatten it out with a roller. Once you have a really thin piece of red clay, you're going to take your X-Acto knife and cut this into a nice little strip of red clay. It's going to be about 3 to 4 millimeters thick, and this is going to form the little top tier of her dress. So you're going to put this on the center going down her dress, and it looks kind of like a tie. With a black piece of clay, you're going to roll this into a very long, thin snake, as thin as you can make it, and this is going to form the little intricate details of her dress. And I'm going to take this and outline the red piece of clay that I put in the very center of her dress, and when you're done, it'll show the outline of the red looking tie. With another piece of red clay, you're going to form the little cape that surrounds her neck, and to help me out, I actually removed the body off of the head to show you how this wraps around the top of her neck. And again, with another piece of black clay, you're going to form the outline of where this cape ends. Reattach the body back to the head, and your figurine should look like this. And she actually has one more V that comes into the center of her dress, and instead of forming another layer of red clay, I'm just taking the black piece of clay that I have to form the little outline. Alright, so the bulk of the figurine is almost done. We're just going to work on the smaller details. So I'm going to fill in the sleeves with a little nice black interior on both sides. I also took a black piece of clay and I formed a black rim around the bottom of her dress. With a flesh-colored piece of clay, I stuck little balls in the center of her sleeve to form her itty-bitty arms on both sides, and with little yellow dots, I put them along the perimeter of the bottom of her dress to form the little yellow detailings that she has. These little yellow dots actually go around the entire perimeter of her dress, so make sure you do the back as well. I also filled these little yellow circles I stuck on with a little black filling. So with a smaller piece of black clay, make sure you center a little tiny dot on each of the yellow dots. And of course, all my princesses need these adorable little faces, so I gave her some very large, widely spaced eyes, and of course a very small petite mouth, and really adorable little pink circles for her cheeks because that's what she kind of has. And don't forget to give her some eyebrows and some highlights on her pupils. Alright, so the clay part of your figurine is done. Go ahead and bake this figurine in the oven. I baked mine at 250 degrees Fahrenheit for about 20 minutes, and when you're done baking it, you can now add on some gold nail polish to the gold headpiece that she actually wears. This is completely optional, but instead of having a yellow headpiece, I really wanted it to be gold. And of course, I just used nail polish. You can use gold acrylic paint if you prefer. And instead of forming all the little details on her little dress, I just added gold glitter along the center, so I didn't have to sit there and draw in all the little squiggles and designs that she has. Now, as you guys have noticed from my previous tutorials, I actually don't like to glaze my figurines, but for this figurine in particular, she has very, very shiny hair, so I'm going to glaze just her hair only and the little jewel on her forehead. And what I'm using here is actually a top coat to nail polish. You can use a glaze if you want, it's just easier and faster for me to use a nail top coat. And when it's all dried, your figurine is all done. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. For more like these, please subscribe. My Instagram username is flyingmio. You can follow me there if you want. And do check out my other channel called MioMango for more videos. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks so much for watching. Please share with me your creations. I'd love to know what you guys made. Bye!